Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wednesday, our first Wednesday show of the year because it is regular season time. Y'all see the hat? Wear this hat because as of right now, the Dallas Cowboys are absolutely, unequivocally the captains of the NFC East. And until they're not, this hat's staying on. Man, let's get the show going.
BJ Nix, are you here?
Present.
Do we have
Present.
Spoonie, Timothy Spoonie?
Present, sir.
Margaret and Mary. Do we have a Margaret and Mary?
Yes.
Cool.
And the margaritas.
All right. Class here. We're ready. Let's go.
Yes, let's go.
And the Cowboys have it. It's Parsons on top of it.
Yes, we are back in the building. The Wednesday shows are rocking. We're down one. I mean, he'll be here eventually. You know how Matt O is sometimes. You know what it is. So with that being said, man, welcome this Wednesday, everybody in the chat. Y'all know the drill, man. Hit the likes. $3.99 to share. Tell a friend. Let me get over to my compadres. Dom, how are we doing this Wednesday?
Man, I'm ready to crack it open with this recap of Sunday night. Man, what a great game. It was so great that I was a little bit bored.
Oh man, I was over here. I wasn't bored. I was outside my. As I tell everybody, I'm pretty calm for the most part, doing the content and everything. The 3 hours of the game is whenever I let it out. That's for me, and it's indifferent for me. And I'm unapologetically a super Cowboys fan in that moment. And then once the game's over, I will kind of come back to reality for a second. And I mean, Spoonie, your sermon, right, Friday, maybe had a lot to do with what happened Sunday, my guy. How we doing this Wednesday?
Oh, doing great. All I did was just, give everybody the signs, the messages, and I said what was going to happen. There was no need for no breakdown. It was only a need of a warning that a storm was coming to MetLife, which it did, and it wiped everybody out of there. So on to round two.
Yeah, I mean, storm in the air and a storm on the field. You were very prophetic there in both lanes there. My guy, how are we doing on this Wednesday, brother?
We're doing good. I have a late injury announcement, though. It's not on the IR report today. Might be on there tomorrow. But your guy, Professor O, broken thumb. You can't even see it. Broke my thumb.
What did you do?
I'm going on the IR. I should return. I'm designated to return, though. I should be back in 4 weeks, roughly.
Holy cow. How did you?
Yeah.
We'll talk about it later. We'll discuss later. That's going to be fun on Freestyle Friday, by the way. Get ready.
Yes.
Mary Ella over there, chopping down on some pizza. How are we doing this Wednesday, Mary?
Man, this has been a great week. It's just been so easy. And I mean, work's been tiring, but just go back, look at sounds from the sidelines, read Trolling the Boys, and you're just back in the mood again. You're ready to go. So
it's different. It's different. With that being said, I mean, no drum roll needed here for this 42 goose egg. Spoonie with the 40 burger, it comes to fruition, and hey man, yeah, couldn't do much, could they? Um, man, there's so many different places to start in this. You know, for me, it warms my heart as a special teams matter, CEO of that lane. And the first, I mean, just like we all thought, the first touchdown of the year is from the trade where we trade Kelvin Joseph, right? And the guy they bring in scoops and scores it on a block on a block field goal. Oh, everybody's bingo card at it.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what we all said. All of us on this panel, even our guest Authentic, shout out to him, and our guest Skywalker, shout out to both of them. We're like, it's definitely going to be a special team score, probably a block field goal. You know, after a good opening drive for the Giants, that was their one glimmer of hope for the entire night. So yeah, it was awesome.
And even the guy, right, to get the block. How about the game for Wanye Thomas?
Yeah.
You know, with the block, a breakup on Waller as well. Phenomenal game in that front, you know, and almost like we didn't with him and Bell, right? Donovan Wilson wasn't out there, didn't really feel the impact of that. And that's kind of a theme here for this game because of the guys that we're missing. We didn't feel the impact, Don, because I got on the offense, you know, we was very nervous about. You was out there in camp and saw him. Chuma, you know, with Tyler out.
Yeah.
Man, it was that next man up approach. And the good thing about it is you had him in hand, back healthy, because he had some time where he spent, rehabbing and trying to get himself prepared for the start of the season. And he himself probably would not have thought that week one, here I am firing up, ready to go. But that's what tends to happen. So the fact that he was able to come in to play, to man up, to do a good job while he was out there. And, you know, in the back channels, we talked about the kind of terms that we like to use. He played like a league average starting left guard.
Right.
And that's as much as you could hope for a guy who's actually a depth piece stepping into a starter's role.
Yeah, I mean, Spoonie Mary, you know, it took me back to, you know, 2 years ago, we went to the home opener against the Eagles. And, you know, after that game, we were sitting there and we shot the quick videos like, did we score 40 or nah? You know, because we was on the SEO and everything else. And then that in the very tail end there, Mary and Spoonie, I was just like, man, we need to recreate that or nah once again, Mary. Did you I mean, not expected, Mary. You know, we felt good about the win. You know, outside of Spoonie, we're all kind of had a particular idea, but maybe your big takeaway from this game on the Sunday night.
I mean, yeah, there was so much. I mean, I was thinking about it earlier, and there's just so much positive to go around. But yeah, as soon as that blocked field goal and the scoop and score by Noah Iggy, I was like, the trade is already, boom, that's already good enough for me. Like, it's already, we won already. One trade, like, check. Like, that's how I immediately felt. You know, we've all been worried about the O-line depth, the depth at, you know, without Tyler Smith. We've been worried about the depth at linebacker, like these things we've been worried about. And, you know, without Donovan Wilson, what's going to happen? And it really just came together in the perfect storm for them on Sunday night. And I honestly feel like, I was thinking about this earlier too, that Daniel Jones paid for the sins of the national media.
Ooh.
We had to hear all week about this new Giants offense, how, you know, Brian Daboll is going to have them ready, how, you know, they're going to make the playoffs again. Daniel Jones going to take the next step. They have Waller, who's going to guard him. They have Hyatt, like these new weapons that, you know, we're not going to be able to cover. And Dak's going to throw interceptions and all this other stuff. And I think Daniel Jones had to pay for the sins of the national media. And, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is.
What it is. Shout out to the Wrench Gang in the building too. I see you, Mendoza. Spoonie, the sermon deliverer. You were prophetic. You're your one big takeaway from your sermon and what you saw on the field, my guy.
I mean, these are the things that we've been hearing since training camp. It's no lie that these players listen to what's being said about them. You could take it. I'll give you a perfect example. You also Kurtz came out and said, "I wonder if the media's going to be the same, have the same energy on Josh Allen for his game the other night, like the way they do on Dak. They hear. Now, when I watch Sounds of the Sideline, see again away from that, you're only going to see the defense, the rah rah of the defense. When you watch the whole video, who's the one leading the troops? Dak Prescott. He said it. Empty the clips. They're all on board. They're on a mission. The culture change. For perfect example, people are saying right now, the very same people who picked the Giants to win now it's about it's the Giants. But you picked them to win this game. You disrespected America's team. You disrespect the hard work they put in place. You disrespected the front office for the newly acquisitions who made a difference on that field. Gilmore, Brandon Cooks, the draft picks, everybody contributed. But guess what? Keep it going. Like Miss Mary said, more sins are going to be paid for. Everybody's been warned. If you think Daniel Jones got the best of it, Mike has said it himself. You think this was a game? We ain't see shit yet. I ain't see shit yet. Mike has said that, and he means it. Not only him, everybody else is on board. And it's next man up. These guys love each other. It's a brotherhood, but it's a dangerous game that everybody else play. And now, like Miss Mary said, you're gonna pay for it. Every team will be looked at as the same. I don't care if you're the worst team in the league. Don't care if you're the best team in the league. Your ass is gonna get it regardless. That's what's going on right now.
Yeah, I think, like I said, the biggest takeaway for me was just how physical this Cowboys team was, right? That's kind of been some of the things we've heard about the Cowboys team over the years, whether it was against Denver, when the Blueprint game came out, or how they played against the 49ers in those realms. And, they just wasn't physical enough. And, I mean, even late in the fourth quarter with the backups in, I mean, they were smacking the Giants around. And the offensive line was physical. Like, everything they did was just, they really just out-physical the Giants. I mean, on top of everything else that was going on. But for me, the big takeaway was we knew about the speed of this defense. We've seen the speed. We talked about the speed a lot and being there. That physicality to me, Matt, was very much indifferent than something that I couldn't recall really seeing. I know we talked about it before, like Minnesota maybe, because they put up a lot of points and they beat them really bad. This was different than the Minnesota game to me, Matt.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. I mean, there's a difference in playing. Minnesota's defense, to be fair, was one of the worst defenses in the NFL last year. They had a good record overall. They won, I think, 7 or 8 one-score games, so they did a good job of closing out the close games. But their defense, we knew, was susceptible. The Giants' defense, I don't think any of us thought they were going to be a top 5 defense, but with Wink Martindale and a pretty good defensive line, we thought they'd at least be competitive, and they didn't stand a chance against our offense. And then our defense just completely obliterated them. And this is with Andrew Thomas, a all-pro tackle, and Evan Neal, a top 5 pick that they were expecting to come up, big this year for him. And we had 5 different pass rushers beat him for a pressure quarterback hit or a sack, and 4 of those had a sack on him. I mean, that's right. Just crazy. I did want to touch on 2 things real quick. So you guys were talking about 40 or not. The Cowboys, since Mike McCarthy has taken over, have put up 12 40-point games. No other team in the NFL has had more than 7 in that same stretch. That is crazy to have 5 more 40-point games than the Kansas City Chiefs, who are tied for second, the Tampa Bay Bucks, which I think that one might be a little bit surprising, but the Buffalo Bills. Those are 2 of the better offenses in the league, and we have 5 games where we put up more 40 points than them, which is crazy. I did want to touch on one other thing real quick, too. So Nick's is Mr. Special Teams Matters. Talked to our girl Aisha earlier. She shared some insight, which was pretty cool. Wanye Thomas on the blocked field goal, CJ Goodwin told him that was going to happen. He told him that guy was going to block out instead of blocking down, and he was going to be able to jump that lane. So afterwards, when Wanye Thomas was talking, Wanye was like, you told me. So they were kind of hyped. So that's the value of a guy like CJ Goodwin. When you're talking about a guy that kind of sticks around, and every year we want to cut him, and every year we want to move on and replace him with Kelvin Joseph or another cornerback or anybody else. Having like that type of guy who's made his his home in the NFL specifically just on special teams, to have that knowledge and that foresight to to talk to a young defensive back and tell them like, hey, you're about to get your moment. I'm gonna come off high on the outside. You're gonna be able to step inside, block the field goal, and he did, which was cool. And then I saw Dia Wall in here, and I want to give her a happy belated birthday from Pick Six Sports. I think it was yesterday or the day before. Whichever it was, happy birthday.
Give it up for Ms. Deal.
That's a great birthday.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean 40-0. I mean, hey, you can't go wrong there. Yeah, I mean, just one. And let me ask you, Don. A part of me, to a certain extent, is because I think the Giants came out and ran the ball well first drive, decently, right? Mm-hmm. And then things started happening, and it snowballed really quickly. And everything we've talked about already is very true. It was very surprising that even when it was 16-0 and it was still early, the Giants just never went back to Saquon. And there was the cut of the coaches on the sideline. What do we do? And different things were happening, and I was like, the coaches and what was going on in the game, to me, I was like, wow, because we're talking about the reigning head coach of the year, right? I think everyone thinks Brian D is really good, but what was happening in the field in real time, they couldn't catch up. Were you surprised that they never went back to the run game at any point there early on? Now, once it got to a certain point, fair, but early on, I mean, they ran the ball decently in the first drive.
I think that first drive was a bit of a mirage. Mm-hmm. And when you go back and you look at the tape, Dallas also adjusted in that second series to do things a little bit different. And as the game progressed, you started to see the emergence of Marquise Bell, who seemed to be able to shoot gaps and find the alley a little bit better than even Damone Clark. And so whenever the score then gets out of hand by the third, fourth series, then our whole game plan changes. But when you go back and look at that first drive, what was really hurting Dallas, it wasn't necessarily the inside runs with Saquon Barkley. It's the moments whenever they sent LVE on a blitz inside, and then Jones had the outside free, and he knew just to tuck it and go. So his threat, the threat of his legs, is something that we stressed multiple times to our followers. It's about Daniel Jones being able to use that mobility, and that was hurting us there in that first drive. So no, it wasn't a huge shock that they weren't able to go back to it because they fell down so fast, but Dallas also adjusted by putting a different personnel grouping on. And shout out to Neville Gallimore, who was doing yeoman's work on the inside, ended up getting more snaps than any of our defensive tackles, which was quite surprising for a guy that we all considered as a cut candidate whenever the roster was being projected. So Dallas did a number of things on the inside to help themselves out, but with the guys who tried to play a little bit of the linebacker spots, like a Marquise Bell, they were flying around.
Yeah, even scary. Another scary percentage, if you will, is Micah Parsons played, I think it was 57% of the snaps. That was less than any game last year that he played in. And everything that we saw him do within the game amongst everybody else, is just mind-boggling to me, and just reiterates how dominant of a performance this was for this Cowboys team in general, which, by the way, historical. It's the largest shutout ever in Cowboys history, amongst other crazy numbers that you can look at. That, what was it? If it's 7 sacks, 3+ turnovers, special teams touchdown, a pick six. Like, no team that had all those things happen in an entire season to them, and it happened in one game. That's how historically great this game was for the Cowboys in one fell swoop. So, yeah, man, it's like there's not enough adjectives, adverbs, whatever you want to put on it to throw out there. But I wanted to kind of dig back into this, guys. One of the things we talked about when it comes to Mike McCarthy's teams, and it's been the thing, is the flags. Clean game.
Yeah.
Very clean game from them in that standpoint. So, like, from that point, where the defense was dominant, clean game from the flags. And we heard this all training camp. We're going to play complimentary football.
Yep.
And the Cowboys got up quick, and they
played
kind of let the air
complimentary.
of the ball. And what they do, they said, "Oh, we're not gonna Jacksonville and Green Bay this game like we did last year, huh?"
Yeah, no, it's a good point. And I think that was, if there's this is gonna sound ridiculously selfish. Bear with me. I'm just that type of person.
That's
If there's anything from a 40-0 just massacre of your division rival week 1 that I felt let down, it was that we didn't get to see this offense that we were really excited to see. It was the right move not to just unleash the offense and be aggressive. It was poor rain condition. You don't really want to throw that much in that type of weather anyways. And when you have such a lead, you want to milk that clock. There's not really any reason to do that. Plus, you want to make sure your defense gets a breather, right? Dom put up a really interesting quote from Trent Williams, who was talking about the 49ers blowout game against the Steelers. And he said, the defense was getting off the field so quickly, I almost wanted them to pick up a first down so we could get a breather on offense. Because we're, having these 7, 8, 9 play drives for a touchdown. Defense goes 3 and out. We're right back on the field. So there's merit to that, especially early in the season. And we didn't play in preseason. So this is the first extended action in a game atmosphere that these players had. So slowing it down, playing safe, methodical drives, that was absolutely the right move. Although selfishly, I was like, go deep, just take the top off a few times. Just,
one time.
A little bit of that, just a little bit of it, like a teaser, right?
Yeah.
There wasn't really a reason to do that. So I had a question for you guys about the Giants' game plan, and we don't really know what would have happened, right? We're just we know what did happen, but we don't know what would have happened if things got going for them. I'm of the impression that Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka came into this game thinking that they were going to get Darren Waller to beat our safeties, and they were going to get Jalen Hyatt to be, stretch the defense a little bit, and that would open everything else up. I just can't imagine that they came into this game. Obviously, things went downhill quickly, and sometimes it just gets away from you, and there's not much you can do. But it felt like from a passing game standpoint, they should have known we were going to get pressure because we did it 2 games last year against them. They didn't significantly improve the offensive line, so they should have expected that. It just felt like they really believed, Darren Waller and Jalen Hyatt are going to be the difference makers on offense, and those are going to be the guys that, move the chains, get explosive chunk plays for us, and that opens up things for Daniel Jones. And the reason I'm saying that is after giving up all those pressures and after giving up all those sacks, they brought in 2 players for a workout on Monday, and they were both wide receivers, which is interesting. It makes me feel like they just thought they were going to get more from the receivers, in terms of beating coverage.
How many snaps? Do you know how many snaps Hyatt got?
I could look. I don't know off the top of my head. It didn't feel like he had a ton. I know he had the drop, but it was a bad throw by Daniel Jones behind him. He still should have caught it, but it was a tough catch.
Yeah, I feel like he didn't get a lot of snaps.
I don't think he did.
I mean,
Go ahead, Mary.
If it's any indication of what Giants fans were thinking, I think you might be on the right path, Professor O, because it seemed like a lot of Giants fans were thinking, we've upgraded our passing game. We paid Daniel Jones. We want him to be the focus of this offense. And if you want him to be the focus of the offense and you add these weapons you think are going to make a difference in that offense, you want to get them going as early and as often as possible. And I definitely think that that's probably what they did.
Yeah. It was weird because, like, the first drive, right, Daniel Jones was in a lot of, like, one read and go. And this kind of back to your point, Dom. And that's where, in the second drive, the defense kind of adjusted there. But interesting enough, they 25 snaps to what Cameron said for for Hyatt. But interesting enough, the Cowboys didn't ever use a spy. And I thought that was intriguing that they never really spied Daniel Jones. But to your point, Dom, as you were mentioning, which is great, in that when he was doing that in the first drive, even though it was working, the Cowboys made the adjustments, came in, and was able to kind of stay in the lanes and kind of contain him there. So, yeah, I mean, right, that was the $1 million question leading into the game. I'm right there with you. It's going to be about Saquon. It's going to be about Daniel Jones because they paid him and got the weapons. I think for me, yeah, I agree. I think they did have an idea with Waller and what was going on there. That's why it's just still puzzling to me at a certain point that maybe they didn't try to do a little bit more to slow the game down a little bit once it was kind of snowballing somewhat. I think that's what they tried to do, and it fell into our hands. Spoonie, what do you think? I'm sorry.
My bad, Spoonie. Real quick, one last thought on that too is I think defensive coordinators, you're going to see this a lot this year. the Giants had success with Daniel Jones moving outside of the pocket, extending plays, extending drives. Teams want them to do that. They're not going to spy him intentionally because they would rather him run for 4 yards here, 6 yards there than give up a 25 or 30-yard pass. Like, teams are going to encourage that. You don't fear the wide receivers. You don't fear their passing game. I would much rather him run the ball for, again, 5 or 6 yards than Saquon bust a 40-yard run because you're not running with Saquon. I would much rather Daniel Jones be the guy to beat me because you can do that some games. It's just not sustainable long term, especially against good opponents. And I think the Giants are going to be in for a rude awakening. It's 1 weekend in the year. They still have plenty of time. But if they don't adjust quickly and realize like that game plan from last year is not going to work this year when we have a tougher schedule, then, I mean, it's going to be an ugly year for them. And I think it's crazy, too. The Giants fan base went from Brian Daboll as a top 3 coach in the NFL to this week saying, he's got to prove it to me again. Their media members are saying that. They're like, that's a huge difference. You go from top 3 coach in the league, we're going to beat everybody from a coaching standpoint. We may not have the talent, but our coaches, and now they're like, I don't know. You got to prove it to me again. That's crazy.
10-4.
Love it.
All right. Well, let's get over here because no matter how good a game is, there's always the good, there's always the bad, there's always the ugly. There's always teachable, coachable moments. Even in a historical win that we just talked about and broke down here from the Giants beating the Giants Sunday night. So, the good, right? I mean, 1, 2, 3, everybody want to say it at the same time? I mean, is anybody else going to say anything different? I don't think so. Spoon, what was the good?
Listen, we all going to say pretty much the same thing with Parson and everybody. I'm going to say this. I'm going to be different. I'm going to say the coaching staff. They prepared Zuma, the guard. They prepared Bell. They prepared Wanye. You know, again, a long time ago with a different coaching staff that we had in the past, let's be honest, we wouldn't have had faith of the next man approach. The next man approach was so awesome Monday Night Football that it was like, was somebody hurt? Was Donovan Wilson not playing? You didn't see that. You didn't know about Tyler Smith not playing. These guys stepped up and really performed. I don't care what the conditions is, X, Y, and Z. It's not easy for any young player. And we're not talking about high first-round picks. We're talking about drafted players who basically paid their dues in training camp and earned the right to perform on Sunday night, and it did it awesome across the board. And on top of that, the Kelvin Joseph trade.
No, Spoon, you got your one. No, see, you about to get like Mary, you know.
I didn't mean to be greedy.
Only I can do that.
Very good. Easy, Spoon. Don't get the cooking over there now. Mary, go ahead. What was your good?
I'm gonna say the 3 corners. We had Trayvon Diggs tackling, led to a turnover. Stephon Gilmore in his first game with the Cowboys having a turnover. And then you got Deron Bland also, who, looks like he's picking up right where he left off. We 5th round rookie last year. We didn't really know what to expect at first. We had hopes, but for him to come in and do what he did last year, and then it looks like he's picking up where he left off from there. Like, all the corners contributed in a huge way to points and to this win.
Yeah, I mean, that big hit for the Bland. I mean, the combo pack here, right? Diggs with the huge hit on Saquon to pop it up and Bland right there. Yeah, great one. Oh, you're good.
I didn't see Rowdy one time the entire game. Not one time. I'm just kidding. The pass rush. I mean, it's the low-hanging fruit, but the pass rush, like everybody, literally everybody. And I don't mean to put salt in the wound because all of us on this panel wanted Isaiah Land back, but when you see how the pass rush looks and how many guys, it just makes sense from a roster standpoint on why they'd say, we'd love to have you back, but can't keep you because we have this many guys. If we can bring you back, we'll look at it. But everybody was active. Everybody was beating guys. Dante Fowler was making big plays. Dorrance Armstrong had 2 sacks. Chauncey Golson's getting sacks. I mean, the pass rush is just relentless. And we're not blitzing. It's not like we're sending 7 or 8 and getting pressure. We'll send 4, and if we need to send 5, we will. But sometimes we'll even send 3. We'll put Micah in the A gap.
Right.
We'll line them up in one tech and three. You know, like just the amount of versatility they have at that defensive line. It's impressive. So I'm going to say that was the good.
So funny to me because when they doubled Micah, they were like struggling to hold on to him. Two grown big men were like struggling to hold on to him. He was like a monster coming through that line, even when he was double teamed. It was insane.
Big facts. Dom, what's your good?
What do we all say was the core room, if you will, that we worried about the most coming into this season? Which unit?
Linebacker.
Did you see any problems out of the linebacking core this game?
No, sir.
That didn't stick out at all. And
Nope.
so, to me, the biggest surprise was not seeing the second year leap out of Damone Clark. It was what Marquise Bell was able to bring to the table. Now, Damone got more snaps than him, getting 60 some odd % of the snaps. Bell ended up getting his 47% or so snaps. But when he did get in, immediately he provided an awareness, a confidence, and just a guy who knew what he was doing. And remember, this is a safety convert, like playing linebacker as if he's done this before in a game. And it was shocking to see how quick he was able to react to plays. Guys on the back end, I saw multiple times where they were giving orders, helping him get in the right spots. But right before that ball was snapped, it's like, all right, I've studied this. I know this. And he was able to react and move so quickly. He had 2 back-to-back tackles. One was really nice where he filled the hole, which is something I didn't see Damone Clark really do. But he was free, but he still filled the hole. He got a short tackle in the very next snap. I want to know what key he saw, because Daniel Jones ended up running the ball to the right, and he shot out like a cannon. I don't even think he filled his right gap, but yet he knew where it was going, and he made a nice tackle. There are beautiful pictures of Daniel Jones getting stuffed on that particular run. So for a guy to get 8 total tackles, 6 solo in his first game, and to only do it where he played about 47% of the time, it's tremendous what we're able to see out of Marquise Bell.
10-4. Man, I'm right with O. It might be low hanging fruit, but man, it was 75%, guys. He had pressure 75% of his dropbacks. Look, Mike McCarthy said, and look, Mike McCarthy's been around this game a long time, since like 92, 93, somewhere around in there. He said he's never seen anything like it. Ever. So my good, I'm with O. We're tied at the hip on this one. That defense and what they brought to the table, and again, we talked about Micah 57% of the snaps, right? The least amount that he even played anytime last year, and it was the Chauncey Golsons. You don't think of Chauncey Golston being a sack guy? Look, he led the team in pressures, if I'm not mistaken. Am I wrong there, or was he tied with Odigizua? So I think Chauncey had like 5 or 6. I was looking it up. I was like, damn, Chauncey went. I mean, I knew he had sex, but it was crazy. But I mean, neither here or there. And boy, Odigizua in year 3, Dom, as much we was preaching about quitting. But go ahead.
I was
just agreeing. Yeah, I was just agreeing.
Oh, okay. But as much we preached about year 3 with Quentin Bohanna,
right?
We're seeing Osa here in year 3 as well take off. So yeah, for me, definitely this pass rush and all the guys across the board and what they were able to do.
Right. And then I like Spoonie's answer though, because you go back to right before the half. I think Dallas is up 26-0. It's 58 seconds left. We got a 3rd and long. And instead of trying to do something cute and real spicy, just hand the ball off.
Yeah.
Wave the flag.
Yeah.
That series is over. Give it up. And so in years past, we might would have seen something that's crazy that would just led
like
to
a hook and ladder.
Yeah.
Hook and ladder in that situation.
Reverse. Yeah. They would have got the ball, scored, and here we go, change game. Because we know football is a game of momentum. It's crazy like that on the college level, but even in the pros, you just want that little bit of momentum. So there are a couple of things early that happened. Everything seemed to go Dallas's way. And I don't know, are we really that good? or are the Giants really that bad?
Yeah.
And
Could be
so
somewhere in the middle.
my thing is, I don't think they're really that bad. I'm just not sure if we are really that good. So it's likely, but we'll see, because next week, when we get to that on Friday, that's going to be a nice test for our offense.
Real quick, before we move past that, Nick, since you talked about pass rush with me,
Yeah.
I feel like we'd be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit more about Dorrance Armstrong, because he's kind of the forgotten man this offseason.
Sure.
You want to talk about that, Nick?
No, I mean, from the get, it was hey, we need to talk about you setting the edge. He talked about little contracts, and then throughout some of our shows, we're like, okay, and we know it's going to beat up maybe here and there, but hey, we ain't seeing Dorrance here. We're not seeing him in preseason. And I mean, Dom, he basically walked out of the booth like Superman up there in New York and said, "Hey, don't forget about me."
So this is 2 seasons in a row where fans have been down on Dorrance Armstrong, because last year, remember, it was the whole Randy Gregory issue with the botched language in the contract. We come to now know what that was really about. It's language that is in many of the players' contracts, including his own, that he had his rookie year. And you see him leave, and you're like, well, who's going to take up all of those snaps? Who's going to be able to get the pressure? And when you look at the stats from the very first game that Dorrance played, he made an impact. He was doing things on special teams, like blocking field goals, getting there on punts, doing action there, and then also picking up sacks. He may not have been the best run defender of the D lineman that we have, but he was showing his worth. And for the first 6 games last year, he was one of our better defensive players on the entire team. And now here we are, roll into another year, back-to-back years, where it's like, should he be a trade candidate? Should we get rid of him? Should we keep a guy like Land that was brought up earlier by O? And what did he do? He just went out, he played, he balled out, ended up only playing 18 snaps, but yet getting multiple pressures, causing a hold-in penalty on Thomas, who's their best offensive lineman. He did his job. So hats off to Dorrance Armstrong, because you're once again proving your worth as a quality depth piece on this defensive line.
And dot for the defense, green dot. Oh, who is the green dot?
I'm not really sure, to be honest. I saw that in the chat. I know Jaron Curse did last year. LVE did it certain times, and Damone Clark did it in preseason. I don't really know who did it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Aisha's in the chat. Maybe she can tell us.
Aisha, drop that if you know who's the green dot.
All I know is I saw Hooker doing a lot of orchestrating.
Right.
When you go and watch it, Hooker's doing a lot of talking. So I'm just not for sure.
Cook, bang knee, questionable. Kind of moving forward. Chance to play right. Is that where we're at?
Yeah. So we heard of a few different things, but Mark Lane, who used to cover the Cowboys and now covers the Houston Texans, said it's a vet day thing. It's what he did in Houston. Mike McCarthy said he actually did bang up his knee and was walking fine. There's no limp or anything like that, and said that they're going to try to go tomorrow. Today was just a walkthrough day anyways, so they're going to try to give it a go. And then Brandon Cooks basically said, I think I'm fine. I think I'll be good to go, but we'll kind of see. I'm going to wait and defer to Mike. But based on the indication, it seems like it's pretty minor, not any major risk. They're not scheduling MRIs or anything like that, which is usually a pretty good sign. So we'll wait and see, but it looks like he's okay.
Right. And again, McCarthy in his press conference said good chance, or said chance for him to play Sunday. So like you said, we'll definitely backdoor to see. Well, listen, that was the good. We got the good up out of here. All right. Let's get to the bad. A little bad. We have to dig deep here to find some of this stuff. Simply for me, my bad is very simple. I'm sticking with my special teams. I'm sorry. He missed the extra point. I'm sorry. Look, he did great afterwards. He did fantastic. Maybe he had to get over the nerves, whatever the case may be, but a little bad coming out. I mean, I know everybody, we get the big play. They're driving down, get the stop, right? Oh, we block and scoop and score. You're jumping up, punching your roof. You're turned up. You're high-fiving whoever's next to you. Whatever the case may be, you're taking a shot. And then they line up and you miss the extra point and immediately you go right back to the playoffs last year. You went from here to, oh, no, it's going to be this again. Salute to him. He turned the corner. made every single kick after that, all the extra points, all the field goals. And it was very funny to be like the field goals seemed to like be shorter than a little bit longer than a little. It was very funny how the field goals kind of played out as well for him too. But just a little bad there, missing the first extra point and ruining our special teams touchdown. Special teams giveth, and special teams taketh away.
Did you hear Jerry's comment about that? It was
yes.
on 105.8.
yeah. Drop that on. Oh God. Sorry.
Yeah. So for those that didn't get a chance to listen or see it on Twitter yet, Jerry Jones did his normal radio thing Monday morning with 105.3, and he was asked about Brandon Aubrey missing that extra point, and he said, "Well, my first thought was, Stephen Jones, you don't know how to pick a kicker." And then he said, then he made the next ones, and I was as happy as could be with him. So it's just kind of funny because I think a lot of us, we're like, here's, it's game action. It's week one. You made the 59-yard field goal the second time. How are you going to look this game? And honestly, I was so excited about the scoop and score on the blocked field goal. I wasn't even really paying attention to the extra point. I was just kind of like, peripheral vision, and I saw the miss. I'm like, are you kidding me? So, to his credit, he was fine after that. So as long as that's not a reoccurring thing, we're good. But that wasn't a great moment, but he got past it.
10-4. Spoody, what's your bad?
Hendershot not catching the touchdown in the end zone. That's about it. It's not too much deep, but yeah, we got a touchdown. Wet balls, X, Y, and Z. So
wet balls, Mary. You talked about those on Friday, but here we are.
Mary,
what's your bad, Mary?
Pause, everybody. Pause.
Yeah, I just want to go back to the kick thing real quick. Like when he missed it that first time, my first thought, like, I don't know if anyone's seen that Adam Sandler movie with the football game. I can't even think of it right now. Waterboy. And they're like, oh, no, we suck again. And that's really my first thought. That was my first thought. Like, oh, no, we suck again. But my main thing was the drops. 4 drops I think we ended up with. And I think 2 of them could have been touchdowns. So that could have been over 50 points to 0. And, it was wet. There's a lot, rain pouring down. So like hoping that that's not something that they have an issue going forward, but that was definitely my biggest issue.
Okay. All right. Dom, you're bad.
I think it was Matt who said earlier that we were a bit, excited to see that offense and what it all had. We weren't able to see it in full effect this week because really this is one of those times where you want to see a Dak Prescott just drive a bus, just be a manager because the defense was doing it all. But we know that that's not going to be the recipe to win throughout this season, and definitely not in the playoffs. So you're going to need that offense to step up and do its job. And this feels like talent-wise, this is the most balanced team we've had on both sides of the ball. Oh, wait. All 3 phases of the game. Matter. Let me correct myself on the fly. But so the one nitpicky thing that I have is we heard a lot about Mike Solari bringing in a new philosophy to the offensive line, them moving forward, punching guys in the mouth, and then specifically using combo blocks. So using the shoulder blocks to be able to get up to the next level. I want to see them be able to execute that a bit more in getting to that next level. Now, Adoga had a little bit something to do with it because you just imagine what Tyron Smith would look like in that spot where he's able to help chip with a Biotish or work with a Tyron Smith and get up to that second level. And so I just kept looking at that going, man, what would that look like? But overall, even Biotish, like getting to that next level will help us produce bigger plays in a run game that we know this offense could definitely use. So that's the nitpicky thing. I didn't think they quite worked those combo blocks in a sense of being dominant with them. They did their job to be able to seal and keep guys from getting pressure. But when you want to hit those bigger plays, you're going to need to come off those blocks, be able to get those guys on that second level so your running backs can continue to do their thing.
All right. What was the bad for you, O?
Yeah. So Mary's point about tight ends dropping passes, Peyton Hendershot, that was a great throw. You got to catch that ball. That was a touchdown. And then Jake Ferguson earlier in the game had, I think it was a 4th and 7, 4th and 8, something like that. Dropped the ball, and it was a good throw. It was out. I don't know if he would have scored, but he definitely would have picked up the first down in the red zone. I feel greedy saying this, but my bad. Although he played really well, is Malik Hooker not getting that interception? Because I'm greedy and I wanted all the picks.
Yeah.
I wanted all the takeaways. +3 is great, but +4 is even better. So I do feel really good about how Malik Hooker played in all seriousness, and I think he's going to have a big year. When I say big year, those interceptions that haven't quite gone his way, but he's gotten a few. I think this is that year where he has 5-6 interception season. So it would have been great to have one in that moment. So I'm going to say that as my bad, which is really nitpicking to be fair because he played great, the defense played great, but I want all the interceptions. I want all the takeaways, so that's my bad.
Big facts. And look, I mean, this week, the bad and the ugly, I mean, there's a lot of it's a little bit nitpicky here. There just wasn't a lot of it to go around this for this game, which is what we like. I think this ultimately for the ugly is just look, and let's be very, I want to be fair, because the Titans blocked their ass off. Let's be clear, first and foremost, before we get into these drops. The
all of them did,
yes.
blocked their ass off. And, I felt like y'all might have smiled like me. I'll look, oh, okay, well, as we're looking for this offense, like, all right, here's the first drive. I'm like, okay, what are they coming out in? Oh, 11 personnel. I'm like, okay. I mean, that's rooted. I mean, okay, that makes sense. We know he was 11 personnel, got with McCarthy. Then the very next play, here's 13 personnel. I said, oh, that's different. Right then and there, I was like, oh, my Freaky Mike got here with 11 personnel, came right back to 13 personnel. I said, oh, what's he cooking with over here? Got me excited. But the Titans blocked well. And, as we talked about the linebackers a little bit earlier, tight end room's very young. I'm a big believer in Ferguson, and everyone that's been tuned into us knows that. I think we all are to a certain extent, right? When it comes to Ferguson, Hendershot though maybe had some issues in camp with some drops. Not monsoon rain, we understand that, but not good for him. I think he had another drop, but 3 drops from the tight ends, right? I believe is where we're at. 2 for Hendershot, right, and 1 for Ferguson.
No,
is that where it was at?
Peyton only had 1. Peyton just had 1.
Okay, all right. I think the Cowboys in general have.
Ferguson had at least 2.
Okay.
Yes,
he had 1.
2. That's who it was. Okay. So yeah, Lamb had
Ferguson, there was that stat last year. I don't know it off the top of my head. I'm sure somebody in the chat does, but we were like 15 of 16 or something like that targeting Ferguson last year. Something crazy.
Right.
And then this year he's 2 for 6 with 2 drops, and it just wasn't the game any of us were expecting. I thought in every aspect of that statement, it was not the game any of us expected except for Spoonie, who just knew that it was going to be a blowout. But everybody else, I think, was thinking, we're going to see the offense open up a little bit. The defense will, do what they do because they're really good, and it should be a relatively close game and then pull away in the second half. I think all of us thought, this could be a big breakout year for Ferguson, and to be fair, it still very well can be. It wasn't the best impression week 1, but there's still 16 more games to go, and I still feel confident about him. And the entire room. I mean,
yeah,
Luke's a youngish guy. He's a rookie. He's not the youngest tight end, obviously, in the draft, but it's his first year. And then Peyton's on year 2, so things, hopefully will start to slow down for him. And it was nice to see them take the seam shot for him because that's what we all thought he could be, that Blake Jarwin, stretch the field type of guy. And it was there. It was a really good throw by Dak. He should have hauled in, but I like that we attacked and did that because it means we'll probably see more of that as the season progresses, and probably bring the next one in.
Yeah. And again, like I said, blocked very well. Rain, get a little bit of pass, but we got to pick an ugly. I'm rolling. That's where I'm at. I'm just going to roll with the tight ends, and I just got to step that up a little bit. We got to have those in a more closer game for sure, for that room to kind of grow up here a little bit over the next couple of weeks. All right, so let's give out some game balls. You want to give out some game balls? Let's do that. Let's do some game balls. Oh, who's your game ball going to, my friend? Everybody's going to give out one game ball. In chat, they'll throw your game balls up in here too as well. One game ball. Who's your one game ball going to, Professor O?
I'm going to give my game ball to Wanye Thomas. There's so many players you could give it to, but it's just cool to see the Cowboys, yet again with Will McClay, have an undrafted free agent that made the practice squad last year, developed into a top 53 guy this year, got to play meaningful minutes early in the game and had a PBU on Darren Waller. I mean, that if you're Mike Kafka and Brian Daboll and Daniel Jones, that's 100% the matchup you want. You have the Cowboys' fifth or sixth safety, however you want to look at it, versus Darren Waller, and when he made the stop, and then shortly after that blocks the field goal, which turns into a touchdown. Like, I couldn't be happier for him, or really anybody who's a down roster guy that progresses and gets opportunities and shines when they get their chance. It just felt like a huge win for him, and seeing him embrace with DQ after the game, having that little moment in the locker room, it was just cool. So again, there's tons of players you can go with. Some in the chat are phenomenal already, but I'm gonna go with Wanye. Good for him.
10-4. Mary, who's your game ball going to?
You know what? I'm going to Tony Pollard.
Okay.
He is, coming
Ran
off
tough.
his injury, and he ran tough. And a lot of people were like, I don't know about him, or we should have kept Zeke. And he went out there and he did what he needed to do, especially having some of those issues with the drops. All of our touchdowns are running touchdowns. So Tony Pollard.
10-4. And I loved from the sounds of the sidelines after he got his touch, I was like, hey, go get Rico in. If one guy get in there and get some too. So yeah, that was definitely pretty awesome. Spoonie, who you giving your game ball to, brother?
Not a popular answer. I'm going to say the front office.
Spoonie's heavy. A coach's staff in front office. Okay, Spoon, talk your talk then.
He's giving him the flowers.
You got to give the front office. You can start off with we signing Malik Hooker, we signing Donovan Wilson, we signing Steele, we signing giving Zach Martin a new contract, keep him cool. Going out there, we signing Trayvon Diggs. They drafted well. The Brandon Cooks acquisition with the fifth-round pick, but also with Cooks. I mean, they did a great job, hell of a job. And again, anytime when Cowboys who are old heads, when we can say, I haven't seen this team since, and you can say 95, the 90s roster, or when you have the Cowboys fans who haven't been around in the 90s, and they can say, I've never seen this type of roster before. When you put that together, it means problems for the league. So hands out to the front office, and especially that trade for Kelvin Joseph for IG coming over. I can't say his name. I'm not good at pronouncing, but I call him IG.
Call him
Igbenogany.
All right, cool.
I just call him monogamy.
I just call him Iggy.
Monogamy works for me. No, I'm joking.
Just call him Iggy.
Dom, who's your game ball going to, brother?
Man, I've changed it.
All that talk. Okay.
All right.
Because I already been shouting them out all show long. Dell did a great job. But when I think about a guy who's come back, fighting back from adversity, with the major injury that he had with the ACL tear and Terrence Steele, for him to go up against Aziz Ojulari, who's one of the better pass rushers, just pure pass rushers in the NFL, and then to have some times where Kayvon Thibodeau, who is one of the better young pass rushers in all of the league with his length and strength and speed coming off the edge, you felt like that potentially could have been a nice little matchup for them that they would want to be able to attack. And all he did was not give up a single pressure, not give up a single sack, not have a single penalty. And I saw him be one of the guys who could get to that second level. I still saw the same burst out of him, the speed overall, the power, the anchor, the get off the snap. Nothing seemed to be, out of sorts for him. He picked up right where he left off. So my game ball goes to Terrence Steele because of how great he played in that game. And it only helps towards the success of this team as we push forward in the season.
10-4. I'm gonna stay with the offensive line, Don. I said it directly after the game. I'm not gonna change my mind here either. I'm giving it to the often maligned through training camp and everything that was going on, Chuma Doga, for going, camp tackle stuff wasn't good at all. He's a journeyman, former third-round pick. He was with the Falcons last year. And he was up there with the Jets, right? And he wasn't really finding his way at camp. Then he gets injured. Then he gets cut, brings back. They got him ready. And then it's like, hey, fella, you've not been doing any guard work this year, but Tyler's out, so go play. Oh, and by the way, here's Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams.
Yeah.
And man, like you said, look, average, maybe even a slight above average at times, not overall play, but a couple times. I mean, he absolutely set and anchored against Dexter Lawrence, and that's not easy from that guy All Pro. You look at what he did last year coming into here. So to Madoga, man, because the worst that can happen on an offensive line for a game, for a quarterback, is pressure up the middle. That can disrupt your running game as well, and what's going on there. He had a big assignment, and he was absolutely able to hold the fort down, if you will. So I'm gonna shout out Chuma and give him my game ball this week.
And the thing about Adoga too, he was a selfless guy by allowing himself to get cut and then come back to the team.
Play ball.
We wouldn't have had maybe a Marquise Bell. You may not have had a Wanye Thomas. Somebody there deep on the depth chart on the defensive side, likely. So, shouts out to Adoga for handling your business against a formidable interior defensive line in the Giants.
We didn't even say Osa, who had an incredible game.
He did.
Stephon Gilmore,
who
had an incredible game. Like, there's so many guys you could have went with. So this is one of those things. If we had, 12 people on the panel, we would have gotten all of them. But we only had 5 balls to give out. So
yeah, it was always so many. I mean, we could give one up to the whole team.
Any player, so it kind of throws the wrench in there.
Yeah, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, well, that puts us right up against the hour mark here, ladies and gentlemen. I think that kind of covers everything as far as putting the bow on this great, historic, even 40-0 win for the Cowboys. The last time the Cowboys, if I'm not mistaken, Spoon, there's might be something here. I could be wrong. Cowboys shut out the Giants. The last time we shut out the Giants, was that 35-0 sometime in the 90s? Is that right?
95.
And when 95, right? 95. The last time we shut out the Giants, like a 35-0. What happened that year? I'm old now. I can't remember everything anymore. I'm old.
Well,
what happened that year?
I'll do the best I can. I can. So after the 35-0, we went to the schedule. We knocked everybody down. Then after that, we went to the playoffs, knocked them out, and then we went to the Super Bowl, knocked their asses out, and we held up to that Lombardi trophy. We celebrated, we dominated, we had a ball, we had a great time. Cowboys fans went to the parade. We wore a Cowboy jersey after the next day. We celebrated for the whole entire year until the new season began. It was a great feeling. Oh my God. And guess what? History can repeat itself.
That's what they say. Don't they say that? History does repeat itself.
It's not a dream. Isn't how it rolls? It's destiny, not a dream. I'll leave it at that.
10-4. No sermon tonight. We're going to save that sermon for the Jets on Friday. We're saving that sermon for the Jets on Friday for sure. And once again, we are bringing back a Freestyle Friday. For those that don't know, if you were able to be a part of it last year, we kind of opened it up. It's kind of our call lines. So we dropped the link. You come up on the screen with us, interact, ask your questions, anything else, and give us your thoughts on anything. We have a good time interacting. We had a fun time with it last year. We're bringing it back this year. Obviously, we'll also be previewing the Jets game as well too on deck. A little bit of a Debbie Downer, right? We're not going to get a shot at Aaron Rodgers, but there's definitely things about the Jets that we got to talk about that are going to be very challenging for this Dallas Cowboys team moving forward. So, man, appreciate everybody in the building, man. Y'all are strong tonight. Shout out to the Wrench Gang, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Y'all are live tonight, man. Salute to y'all for that. Final word, Dom. Let me spin the block here. Final word, and we'll get out of here, Dom. What you got for us? No, if y'all get the 50, by the way, pause. If y'all did not get the 50 signatures, I told y'all wanted to run a space last night, and I said if I did, I wasn't running one tonight. Y'all had to get 50 signatures on last time I checked, you only had about 20, so you're 30 short. I ain't running no space. Next, I'm sorry, go ahead, Dom.
I didn't sign it for your own good.
So, my man, bring the flowers back up. Show me the flowers again.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that we told you so about the Monday morning headlines that would come out after the Dallas Cowboys whooped that behind. But I'm just here to tell you, Cowboys fans, you don't have to defend this team. We already have a great defense. Let their play speak for us. And all we do, get on, buckle in, saddle up, whatever you want to call it, enjoy the ride each week.
Love it. Go ahead, Split, your last word.
Dominate, celebrate.
Boom. Mary, is your last word going to be pizza? Man, that pizza ain't gonna lie. You know, it looks so hungry. I'm so hungry right now. Oh, what?
I gotta say this.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
No. A long time ago, Miss Mary, you scolded me. You came out and said you would not say a certain thing you used to always say after this show until you believe. And I believe you believe. I want to hear it. Now, we all want to hear it. It's been a couple of years. It's been a couple of years.
Uh-oh.
Spoonie, now you know if you tell me to do it, I'm not gonna do it.
You know what?
So you just gonna have to wait.
It's fine. Hey, chat. Can y'all put in the chat? Can y'all put we want to hear it, Mary? I want to see that.
Oh, all the pressure.
They're gonna tell you.
Y'all ain't getting it tonight.
They're gonna tell you. Listen, the storm came. We gotta live this. Chat, let it be known. You want Miss Mary to say it. I'm not gonna tell her to do it. I'm not gonna tell her to do it.
Look, if she ain't, here's the thing now, Smitty. If she ain't feeling it, she can't say it now.
Nah,
like you said she'll say it when she feels it.
Yeah, listen to Miss D. You cannot rush me, okay?
Yeah. Now it tucked us in and said Margarita Mary would do it.
You're right. Margarita Mary would do it.
but if she ain't feeling it, you know, like they said, like an actual authentic belief, then it's okay. Although now Mary, now they're down up on you from last year now. Now they're down up.
Hey, our defense, they definitely didn't tuck it. They definitely did not tuck it.
That part. All right, Mary. Your last word is not what Spoonie wants to hear. Your last word for this evening.
Hey, I'm just like you said. Our defense didn't tuck it. They let it hang. So I want to see the rest of that all year, and I want to see it from our offense too.
10-4. Going to the IR for those that don't know over here with the broken thumb. Dear God. I'm about to have some conversations with you after here, sir. Once to look at your contracts, we got to talk to your agent on what were you doing scripted things. Did you go ahead and do something you wasn't supposed to be doing?
No, it's a football related injury. I was teaching form tackling on a tackling dummy for my third grade football team, and when I was wrapping up, my thumb just kind of hit the ground and right in there on this hand. All right, so my final word, or last word, on this game, moving as we turn the page. And it's very fitting for tonight. So the Atlanta Braves just clinched their 6th consecutive division title, which is cool. So I was looking up right over my desk. You guys can't see it. I can't get it to focus. But this is a replica Braves World Series ring. And the reason I'm bringing this up tonight for this show is there's a quote. So the top of it comes off and inside has the stadium with all the spots of the home runs they hit. And then on the top part that comes off.
Again. There you go.
Let me put it back on.
It was gone. There you go.
So, there we go. So, you take this part off, and it has like all the locations from the home runs. That's not where we're going with that. This is where we're going with that. So, the Braves made a trade, multiple trades actually. They made 3 big trades by the trade deadline, which is not how they typically operate because they went all in getting some bats, and they started firing off these wins. And somebody was asking about the Braves and said, the Braves might be those MFers this year to win the World Series. On the ring, it says, we are those. Doesn't have the whole quote, but one of the players who heard that said, no, we are those MFers who are going to go win the whole thing. So the Braves just clinched their 6th consecutive division title. The Cowboys are those MFers this year. This is not a team that could compete for a Super Bowl. This is a team that has the talent and has the coaching staff that can and will compete for a Super Bowl. This is not the team that we're like, let's just make strides and try to get the NFC Championship game. This team has the offense, the defense, and the special teams, assuming Brandon Aubrey holds up and is at least just okay. This year, we are those MFers. We are a legit Super Bowl contending team. I don't care what anybody says. I'm not that guy. I'm usually more reserved and let's wait and see how things look in Mr. Analytics, but I'm buying in. We are those MFers.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, what did Dak say in the pregame on Signs from the Sidelines? He said, "We're here to capture the kill. We're not here to capture." You know, Jason Garrett led team never would say such things. And then even back to the Carpe Omnia, right? Hey, sees everything. It's a mindset, and it looked that way. I'm not there with you. You know, as we talked before, and I said, man, I did, even before preseason, I'm like, this team, to me, the way they built, I'm like, is going to go to the NFC Championship game. What they do after that, we'll see. But I felt that way. And then seeing what happens Monday even gets our Sunday night, even I'm up even more on that. And, you know, we did the one word. We had to think about the one word for the season. We talked about on Twitter and over here. It's execution. And I think that's just where this team is, and that's where they're built. As long as they're able to execute, this is what you'll see that you saw on Sunday night. The front office, Spoon gave out the good, right? He said the front office, or they gave the game ball. No, the coaches, I think it was, right? Then you give the game ball to the front office, right? Yes. They did their part into the season. Now it's about the coaches and these players here now to execute and move forward. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate y'all for rocking with us. Friday, 8:30 p.m. Central. We're back here previewing the Jets game. The lines will be open for y'all to come kick it with us, a la the old Freestyle Friday style. Tomorrow night, the PSF app, by the way, is over there on Android. It's a little shaky on Android, I'll be honest, but it's on Android. Either way, and me and my guy Lando will be live over there tomorrow, breaking down the Jets as well too. So come join us on that realm. With that being said, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday hump day. Close it on out. And with that being said, no matter what,